Well, hello everyone. We are going to recap the task which you carried out for last week's session. First, what we're going to do is to watch a video, and the video is just very short. It's about 1 minute and 30 seconds long, and it'll just remind us about some of the original science behind exercise science research. So let's have a look. So there are physical activity guidelines. You'll be familiar with the physical activity guidelines that state we've got to exercise a certain number of minutes, so many times per week. But there's also those guidelines about the 10,000 steps per day. What about those guidelines, and is there any real evidence behind them? Ever thought about that? Now, to introduce this week's task, let's have a look at the first science which took place in exercise research. So it's estimated that it took us about 6 million years to evolve upright. And then after that, it's estimated that it took us about 4 million years to be able to run. So the evolutionary process is a pretty long one. What Jerry Morris noticed was a big difference in the health of men coming back from the war, first of all, who got jobs that were active versus those that were inactive. And at a time when there wasn't much research funding around, he, on his travels down to London, just on a holiday, he noticed that the drivers spent all of their day sitting and the conductors spent all of their day active, walking around the bus. And hey presto, there was a really simple study design, but it turned out to be so effective. After that, he replicated his findings in the postal service and in the civil service as well. So that was the first evidence, as it were, which demonstrated a link between exercise or physical activity and health. Because what Professor Morris found, of course, was the relatively sedentary bus drivers had 2.5 times the number of heart attacks. Now, if we wanted to do that or do a study similar to that, then what we're doing is we're looking for a relationship between two variables. And that's what this task is about. It's about the way in which we can look really easily for a relationship between two variables, see if there is one, and then see how strong that relationship is. So what I'd like you to do is complete this week's task, which is identical to the task in your workbooks. It's all about correlation. There's a few questions about correlation. It's something that's important to understand, both its advantages and its limitations. And thereafter, we'll go through some of the answers and just your opinions, just what you think. And then we'll carry on with the session itself.